Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jade Alberts. I'm a small business strategist influencer from Calgary, Alberta. My passion is helping small businesses grow and succeed. Sharing knowledge is why I started the Telling It Like It Is Facebook live show. It is live. So if you have any questions, shoot them. We will answer them. If you're watching this after the fact, we will answer your questions. Today's discussion is sponsored by Healthy Heart Sleep Company, Calgary's premier sleep apnea CPAP company. They are locally owned and have 2 locations. Today's Telling It Like It Is guest is David Skabar, owner of Pub Calgary. David, thank you for joining me, and how are you today?
Doing well, Jade. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I know I always like bringing in the first thing to talk about is how we met, and obviously we met a long time ago, almost pre-Nathan days, I would guess, in you being from me, kind of partnering with the gentleman and then the guys in Drumheller, and you're friends with them, so...
You got it, man. It's pretty motley crew to run with. Circles get pretty tight pretty quick, and it's always good to reconnect with those folks.
Oh, and as you said, it is something that you just never know. You know, obviously 15, 16 years later, here we are telling it like it is.
You got it, buddy. You got it.
Well, what I'll do is I'll give a brief introduction about David and Pub Calgary, and away we go. He's a passionate entrepreneurial executive with proven success in both the private enterprise and the healthcare sector. He has repeatedly demonstrated the ability to accelerate business with scalable and sustainable initiatives across the province. Raised as a competitor in a team environment, he excels with aligning individuals with organizational objectives from a leadership position. David's personal professional interests couldn't align better than Paddle Pub. His knack for telling and retelling stories, and I've heard a few of them, drew him into the opportunity to align guests and stakeholders alike for this amazing shared social cycle experience. It's at the right intersection of beer drinking, bike riding, and bullshitting, and he is just fine with that. So I guess your pet, it's just a fantastic idea. Where did you see it, and how did you come up with it, and why did you think it would work in Calgary?
Yeah, so I guess all stars kind of align. Like you say, it's right at that intersection of beer drinking, bike riding, and bullshitting. I like all those things. A few years ago, I had the pleasure of making my way down to Nashville for the first time. And man, that town is it's my spirit animal. I just absolutely love that place. And just as I was walking down Broadway, I just felt at home. It was so amazing. And then I saw this massive patio with people pedaling it coming my direction. I was like, oh my God, what is this thing, and how do I get on it? So of course I asked Google what the hell it is, and went to the website, tried to book, and couldn't get on. The calendar said there was nothing available, so I actually phoned them and said, your booking engine is broken. There's no availability. How do I get on this thing? They're like, yeah, it's not actually broken. You have to book like 6-7 weeks in advance.
Wow.
And I was like, you're kidding me. So I found one that was empty, sitting in front of a bar, and there was a girl sitting there waiting for the crew that was inside the bar, and it was empty. I say, how do I get on this thing? And she says, you got to go online, try and book. I was like, you and I both know that this thing's booked. I didn't say, how can I? How do I? Do I have to pay you, or do I pay somebody inside? And I couldn't get on. So wow. A year later, my wife and some friends, we went back to Nashville, same weekend, Labor Day weekend. And this time booked 2 months in advance, and we got a 9:30 in the morning booking time. It was the only thing available 6 weeks in advance. And I said, this thing is incredible, and we have to bring it back to Calgary. So fast forward, another year, and I was actually just got exited from a telecommunications company where I was running a residential business unit, and found myself unemployed for a little bit, and said, now's the time to maybe breathe some life into some of these ideas that are running around in my head. And I met up with a partner, and we kind of beat up a few different ways to get this pedal pub kind of idea going, whether we make and manufacture our own, or if we outsource it, we go to these other routes. And we actually found a group in Minnesota that was just starting to franchise these out. So we said, I don't know what your plans are for Canada, but we want to be a big part of that. So we ended up with the exclusive rights across Western Canada for this, and nice. Are looking to kind of load for bear here, starting with Calgary and proliferate from there.
And that's an amazing story. I guess you never know where the next great idea is going to come from, and all of a sudden, just by you not being able to get onto the pedal pub makes you like, holy smokers, this is gonna rock in Calgary.
Yeah, and it's funny, everyone I told the idea to was like, "Oh my God, you're perfect for this," and my wife's like, "Oh my God, you're perfect for this."
Exactly.
She heard it enough times from everybody else that she was like, "You know what? This is." It's fun. It might just be crazy enough to work, and here we are. We're in our 11th week now of operating in Calgary.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, I think it's really good for even team building. And the last few interviews I've done have been really sales and focused and culture focused, and this could be a really great idea for that. Have you hit this market? And I mean, how have you been marketing? I did post an article or a video that CBC did up there. So if anybody wants to watch that, you can click in the comment section. But explain what else you're doing, David.
Yeah, so we picked up quite a bit of earned media early in the season. So trying to get the word out, of course. And the thing is, the zone billboard, right? It's not for the faint of heart. It's like I say, it's a 15-person pedal-powered patio, so it's massive. It turns heads wherever it goes. So the more it's in the public domain, the more it's working for us as well, right? So
yes.
15 people kind of fist pumping, sing along, having a great time. It's kind of this electric feel and kind of gets the word out. So our Saturdays are really busy. Our Sundays are getting busy. Our Fridays are pretty busy. And we're just trying to tap into kind of that corporate, like you say, that team building or corporate hosting. And of course, Stampede's great for that.
Yeah.
But it's just a way of kind of finding our way into kind of spreading that message around through kind of corporate stakeholders. So.
Well, that is interesting. And I did watch that I saw you post that CBC interview a while back, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I said, that is you just can't, get publicity like that. So that's a great job on that.
Yeah. Like I say, we're pretty fortunate. It's a fun idea, right? It's kind of decidedly kitschy, but equal parts fun and open air and exciting as well. And when we looked at this business from, looking at Calgary, what we're saying is we want to radically change the way that people experience their city, refreshing the views of, local business, local breweries, local restaurants, that whole local scene. We don't find ourselves as the attraction. We want to showcase that attraction. So there's some incredible brewers and incredible entrepreneurs making incredible products with locally grown ingredients. And we want to showcase that to people in a new and exciting way. So we're operating in Inglewood, where there's, 5 or 6 awesome breweries that, because we spend a lot of time here, of course, they're fixtures in the community, but we find Calgarians all the time that aren't aware of that. So we get to give kind of the locals the tourism experience right here in their own town. And then hopefully, they go back and enjoy these breweries when they're not with us, and kind of see that proliferation throughout the community that way. So it's been really cool. And to your point again about team building, I like golf. I know you like golf, but when you're corporate hosting or you're doing that, you basically spend 4 hours with one guy in your cart, an hour on the greens and the tee box with the other guys in your foursome, and then maybe have a beer or two after. This is like a immersive, comprehensive experience with 15 people, which is kind of a unique space in that whole kind of team building realm. So.
Oh no, I agree. I think that's pretty cool. I know, we chatted a little bit before about maybe some of the liquor laws, because you are allowed to drink. Well, obviously your driver isn't, and that's quite obvious. But was it tough to get the city of Calgary to agree to this, or were they just kind of like, yeah, just go ahead?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, when we launched, you couldn't drink on the bike. So people would say, so this is amazing. This looks like so much fun. So I just get me and 14 friends. We go out, we drink on this thing. We're like, hear me out. And our pitch was always, you're never more than a song or two away from your next pint.
Yeah.
And we still have an incredible time. We've done over 250 tours so far this season, and people aren't coming off the bike saying, oh man, I wish I could, have crushed some beers while we're heading down through Inglewood. But that's not addressing the people that say, so I can't drink on this. So when we launched it, we always knew that was the happy path for us. So even back in the fall, we first engaged the province and the city on how we could get this done and draft up the appropriate policy to do just that. And as of honestly today, Jade, you can drink on our bike. So we're pretty pumped about that. Literally today, we've got a big press thing going on. So it was embargoed until just now. You're the first one to chat about it. So
I like that.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, the point you made before was about, supporting local and small businesses in a certain area in Inglewood. And as I become an entrepreneur, 14 or so years ago, I realized that actually how entrepreneurs, work together. I mean, I'm trying to connect them to make sure that, that we can, because it is hard for people to network. But I mean, it is amazing. And when I had Hell's Basement on here and they talked about how they share hops or how they have to share ingredients or how they really work together. And it's good to hear that, you're knocking on the small business, small brewers' doors and really promoting that in our wonderful city.
Absolutely. And one of the things I'm really proud about is aligning stakeholders, of course. And each one of our tours, we already have the data to support that. Each one of our tours results in $1,200 in direct spending to the local small businesses. $1,200 per tour. Wow. So last week we did 28.
Wow. I mean, that's a big injection.
And so that's job creation. People are now expanding their venue hours to realize that new revenue opportunity. Obviously, we're creating jobs with our tour guides and servers and all of that. And but yeah, the economic spin off of that has been something that I've been really pumped about. And even though, again, say we go through Inglewood, we might not stop at the livery, but we drive by it really slowly, right? So people look in those windows and they, when their tour's done and they go for a walk and they say, I want to buy one of those camp shirts. I didn't realize this is where you buy it from.
Yes.
Or you go into the Nash, you don't realize that, that's where it was. I've heard about this place. So the spin-off, I think, doesn't really see any bounds, but we know, again, based on the data that we've collected, is that every tour results in $1,200, and we're pretty pumped to yell at from rooftops if you can't tell already.
Well, that's impressive. That's a good number. And I mean, even when you're going to businesses, you can say, hey, this is what we're going to pump back into you. So let's get on board and let's have a good partnership. That is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so I imagine you kind of get some really good cat calls and some really weird looks as people are driving by. Share some of your comments or some of the feedback that people have been.
It's funny, like I said, we go 9 kilometers an hour, right? You have 15 people pushing a 2,400-pound vehicle empty. You'd be tipping the scales at 5,000 pounds. So it takes a lot of power to run these things. And we top out at 9 kilometers an hour. So there's, at first people are saying, how are you going to deal with the congestion on the roads? And our pilots, they just own it. And it's hard for that person that's directly behind or even a few cars behind to remain pissed off when they see 15 people having a great time, listening to music in the open air. And it's been really great. So we're giving people high fives on the side of the road. For those 2 hours, they're rock stars. You're in your own parade for 2 hours. People are leaning out, giving high fives. Everywhere we go, people are whipping out their phones and videoing it. My phone blows up every weekend because their social media, everyone's tagging us in photos and videos, whether they're on the bike or an innocent bystander, just watching this thing coming. Because you don't see it coming, you can definitely hear us coming.
And I said, you can't get better PR than somebody tagging you on their own personal post. So I mean, that's not surprising to me, because when I saw it, or even when we're traveling and we talked about Portland and we did a bike tour, there wasn't one of these, but there's all kinds of people yelling, hooting, hollering, and bikes are driving all around, and everybody's tagging everybody. So that's unbelievable earned media, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in Inglewood, where we're headquartered, pardon me, it's this cool weekend vibe where people come down to Inglewood. They're coming for breakfast, brunch, beers, you name it. And there's a lot of foot traffic, right? So in these pedestrian-centric locations, whether that's Beltline and 17th Ave or Inglewood, and, the streets are all crowded and people, they don't have an agenda. They're kind of taking the time. And all of a sudden, this big thing comes rolling down the road and, fist pumping and high fiving and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of that proud father moment when you see this this giant bike with 15 happy faces on it.
Well, that is awesome. And Inglewood is all, I mean, Kathy and I love going down to the Ironwood and listening to live music there. So we love that area. We don't get down there as much as we probably should with kids and everything, but I do love that area.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Inglewood's great for the Music Mile, and what they've done with that is just absolutely terrific with all the cool live music venues and everything that's going on. So yeah, we're definitely pumped to be a fixture in the neighborhood now.
So I know you said you have the rights to Western Canada. So what's next for Pedal Pub? Are you looking to expand into different cities next year, or do you have some sort of plan?
Absolutely. So we're constantly looking at different opportunities. Given the seasonality of the business, of course, we got to make hay when the sun shines. So we're pretty head down and rolling through right now. We're testing a couple different markets. As I say, we got this big heavy bike, so we want to make sure that it actually functions. Overcoming material changes in terrain that is easy for a car or a limousine or a party bus. It's a different story for us. So we want to see if we can make these things work in the wine regions. We think that Kelowna is a big opportunity for us. Yes. And now that we've worked so closely with the Alberta government on the liquor legislation, it opens up a lot of windows and doors for us in Alberta. Given that, again, drinking in public is huge all over Europe and in certain places in the US, and until now is kind of it hasn't really been a thing in Calgary and Greater Alberta. So now that we can have it in a responsible environment, it's this new offering that maybe it becomes available in smaller jurisdictions that don't have that big tourism hub that maybe a Calgary might have. So I guess long-winded answer is we're constantly looking at new markets, but we'll probably do a lot of that diligence in the off season, and hope to land a few big spots in time for spring. Nice. Well, that's a good plan. I mean, I really do think there's so many areas in Western Canada that are cool. That would be, that are ready for something like this. So I think that's, and Kelowna is just one of the many. So I think that's pretty, I think you've got a pretty good future with the old Pedal Pub there. I think it'll be a cultural hit here in a few years. Yeah, we're definitely pretty excited, and that's the goal, of course. Like anyone says when they get into this, I know I watched a few of your podcasts, the James Trasks and Daryl Hansons of the world. They're out there trying to carve their path, and the business plan always contemplates the happy path. And like the great Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So we're still trying to trend on the happy path, but I know that there's some hurdles that we're gonna have to overcome in the future. So. Oh, that is awesome. So I know the last question I have is always the same question, and I just like it for the simple fact that your everybody's situation is always a little bit different, and I thought when I did ask this question I'd get a lot of the same answers, but I'm totally wrong. So if you had one piece of advice for a business, a startup, what would it be? Yeah, that's a really good question. I've had I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by some incredibly smart people, both entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, elected officials, public servants, things of that nature. And everyone's got a different perspective. I've learned both the hard way and kind of opened my eyes a little bit to just asking for help. So great example, last year I was trying to raise money for the Branch Out Foundation. It's a neuromuscular disorder charity that my wife's on the board of, and I got tired of asking everybody via email for donations. So last year I decided to throw a party and get local country star Tim Huss to play it and sell tickets and raise money that way. And I didn't want to bother anyone with asking, how can you help? How can you do this? How can we do that? And ultimately just went out and sold tickets. And the day of, I was like shitting myself. I was all by myself, and when people step up, they're happy to help. They're happy to sell, 50-50 tickets or take drink tickets at the door and do all this stuff. And I was so short-sighted to think that I would be able to pull this off by myself. And it wasn't even egotistical driven. It was mostly just like, yeah, I could do this and don't want to trouble anyone. And it's for a good cause, so everyone will come. So with this pursuit, with that fresh in our mind, we're constantly, batting ideas off, each other with my partners and our local, like closing feedback loops with our partner vendors, and various stakeholders, because we might have kind of our introspective view of how things are going, but if we don't close those feedback loops, we're just barking up the wrong tree, and we'll have a short runway. So it's definitely asking for help. And again, as a competitive kind of A-type guy, I'm probably talking a bit hypocritical because, as I say, I've got some really smart people around me that I should probably go to more often for this type of feedback. But I think that'd probably be the first and foremost thing that I'd go to.
No, and that's a great, asking for help is not, as I use in my tagline, is not a sign of weakness. Listening to other people, getting their perspectives, using, you might be throwing an idea and off there, and all of a sudden they, put a little spin on it. And you're like, wow, that's just the better idea. And taking their ideas. People are always there to help. So that's, I try and stress that so much. And it's good that you reached out to people and got some different perspectives, because that's very positive.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes you might not take it, or maybe it validates your opinion, or the things that come out of it. And fundamentally, I think depending on who you surround yourself with, people want to help. There's a social capital element to providing help, to providing introductions, to providing valuable feedback that just you might not see it on the balance sheet, but it certainly provides value well beyond the ledger for sure.
Oh no, absolutely. And coming on today and sharing your story is another great thing you did. So thank you very much, David, for doing that.
My absolute pleasure, brother. Anytime.
And for anybody that's looking, it's pedalpubcalgary.com. You can click on the link in the comment section. I also posted their CBC video, so it's also there. Click on that, take a look, and they've got some great video there. I'd like to thank Healthy Heart Sleep Company for sponsoring the show. They have 2 locations in Calgary. They are locally owned and operated. So thank you again, David. I appreciate you coming on, and I hope to see everybody again next week.
Thanks, Jade. Have a good one, brother.
All right, you too, buddy. Bye-bye.